Oh, whoa, it's doing some transcript thing. I don't need a transcript. Okay. All right, so this Lunch and Learn, we're going to cover invoicing. I'm going to try not to stray too far and avoid talking about like allowed expenses because that could be a whole other thing by itself. We're just going to talk about invoicing. Glenda and I have designed a new cover sheet that I think will help some of you. We've just never had a standardized template, and it's becoming a problem because everyone does it so different. And there's certain things we want you to look at when you're creating your invoice to make sure that you are checking the correct information and billing for the right amounts and that sort of thing. So we've come up with a new cover sheet, which I will show you. Excuse me, I still have a cough, so hopefully it doesn't interrupt too much. All right, so to begin, I'm gonna do like a brief zoomgrants tour and just show you the important tabs. The new cover sheet I have uploaded to zoomgrants, and I'll show you where that is. And then I'll also have it uploaded to the website, but that can take a couple days. But it is on zoomgrants, and I'll show you where I put it so that you can download it. So we'll look at zoomgrants, we'll look at the budget tab, the reimbursements tab, the internal management tab, and we'll talk about what all the things mean. I will show you also where to find your agreement in zoomgrants and how to compare your budget in your agreement to your budget in zoomgrants. We'll talk about different types of invoices, the new cover sheet, backup documentation. We won't go too far into it, but I'll just show you some examples. We do have that guide. I know it's old at this point and probably not the best examples, so I'll show you some better ones. I'll show you how to create an invoice, what the invoice numbering system means, checking remaining amounts before you submit an invoice, uploading documents, submitting, what to do if an invoice is returned to you and how to tell. And then we'll talk about deleting not submitted invoices. So kind of some housekeeping in zoomgrants to make sure that your remaining amounts are calculating correctly. And then payment and ACH auto deposit on payments. Okay, so I'm going to do a little zoomgrants tour. Let me change screens here. Okay, so I'm going to go, this is me as an admin, so I can show you multiple screens, but I'm going to also find turn and use them as an example so you can see what you will see in zoomgrants. So when you log into zoomgrants and you click on your grant, this one is the newest, the FFY 23-24. You will see these tabs. So let's talk about your project budget. You're going to see your item descriptions and sorry, this is local match. This is your item descriptions. It will have the UZA, the year it was awarded, what it is. This number is called an activity line item, and you don't need to worry about that, but it tells our grants compliance officer and our accounting team what FTA is calling this type. So operating is always 30.09.01. So it has a number associated with the type of funding. And then that helps us determine what account number to use. So you don't need to worry about that. This will tell you what the match amount is. So 50-50. You pay 50, FTA pays 50. Turn has a lot because they get multiple UZA funding, so yours might not be this long, but this is a good example to show you of what you might see if you have multiple awards in different years or different UZAs. And then here you'll see your total project cost, federal amount, and local match amount. We have changed those to match your agreement. Where is it? It won't let me. Sorry. Why is it not letting me scoop to the right? That's weird. If you go over to the right, I don't know why it's not letting me. Maybe I'm zoomed in. That's weird. It should have a contract budget amount. Like here it says contract budget. That means what you were awarded, and there should be a column here for contract budget, but I'm not seeing it. Um, we'll figure that out. Okay, let me zoom back in. It might just be cutting it off on my screen. But your contract budget is just what you were awarded. But we've changed your totals to match, so don't worry about that too much. Okay, so now in the reimbursements tab, you will see all of your invoices. And if you see some that are not submitted, this is what I was talking about, housekeeping. If you have some that are not submitted, they can actually mess up the program and how it calculates down here. So if you are not using some, please delete them when you're done if you're not going to be submitting them, and that will help clean it up. Down here, you will have funding uses and expenses. So this is all of your line items from your budget. And so on the new cover sheet, which I will show you in a bit, you're going to be matching this description when you put it on your cover sheet. And I think that will just help us know what you're requesting and from what line. And then if you ever see an issue with your budget, this is a new feature in zoomgrants, but you can send us a budget adjustment request, and then we will get notified and we can take a look at it. I've never had anyone do it, but it's a cool new feature. You can try it if you want, or you can just email us. That's fine. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to create a new invoice. And I thought you were able to see your internal management. Maybe you can't. I think it'll be on the invoice. So let's look. Yes. Okay, so when you create a new invoice, you'll see all this information at the top. We call this the internal management data. And the reason for that is, I'll show you my screen as an admin. When I go into your application, it's going to turn. I have a tab called internal management, and I can put notes, I can put all the information on your application into here. Come on. I don't know why it's not loading. There we go. So I can put notes here. Your contract number, I can put all of your grant numbers or FAIN. So FAIN is your federal award identification number. That's what it stands for. So we just call it your grant number. So that's this number right here. I can put all of your account numbers in there and as much information as I want, your period of performance dates, and all of that I can make. Where's my other screen? Can you see this pop-up window? I should have asked that. Do you guys see this pop-up window?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I can have that show up on your actual invoice. So it is all here. Your PO number or your contract number is there for the compliance officer. All of your account numbers are there. And I didn't realize that you can't see your period of performance, so I can add that to the invoice so that it shows. That might be helpful. So all of that is at the top. Again, that's a lot of detail. You don't really need to know all of this. I just wanted you to understand what it was. This is to help the compliance officer when they're processing your invoice. It just auto generates and tells them what accounts they can use. And then you're going to put in your name, email, and telephone number if you were the person creating the invoice. You're going to put in the invoice number, which we will talk about in a bit. And the total requested should always be the federal amount that you are requesting a refund on. And then down here is another, this will match your budget and your line items that I showed you, and you can put a brief description if you want. So like operating, I'm going to be requesting wages. We'll just do an example here. I'm going to put, let's say I'm going to do UTA test, but an invoice number, you don't want to go, I'll explain the rules because I have it on a slide, but you don't want to exceed 10 characters. And typically you'll use an abbreviation for your agency, and then the last date that you're billing for of your billing period. So let's say that today is my last date. I could do April 8th, 25, or I could do 425 OPS if I'm doing operations. There's different ways you can do it, just as long as you're not exceeding 10 characters. And if it's something that we've already used that invoice number before, or we want it to have more detail, we might change it. So if you had put like UTA, sorry, I can't see my keyboard with this. UTA operating, then the officer is probably going to go in and change it to something that they can use like that. Okay, and then let's say I'm doing Provo Orem federal fiscal year 23 operating, and I'm going to do wages and fuel. And then I'm going to put in how much I'm requesting. I'm going to do 5,000. So my total expenses are 10,000. So I'm going to request 5,000, which is 50%. And then you'll see that that calculated up here and put that that's how much I'm requesting. And then is this my final invoice? I'm going to put no because let's say I was awarded 20,000. So this is only a portion of what I've requested. And then I'm going to upload my backup documentation here. And then down here is your invoices certification. This is that new thing that was added last October by the uniform guidance. And we just have to have some kind of statement that you're agreeing that you're not committing fraud. So then you can type your name there and submit. It's not going to let me because I didn't upload a document. Let me upload something. Okay, it says your file has been uploaded. You can test the link in your document, then close this window. So I can click here to make sure that it uploaded correctly if I want. And then I can close it. And now when I go to reimbursements, I'm going to refresh the page. Reimbursements. Come on. Of course, it wants to be slow when I'm recording a training. It's showing it there, but it's saying not submitted. So I thought I submitted it. Let's refresh. Come on. Oh, also there's this new thing they added here where you can ask a reimbursement question. Pretty sure it just sends us an email. Yep. So if you click that right now, it goes to Glenda. So I'll update that so that it goes to me until Jerry starts. But yeah, if you ever have a question, you can just click there and it will send us an email. Okay, here we go. So there's my thing. It's saying not submitted, and that's why you want to check. Sometimes zoomgrants doesn't do things. Let's see. Now it says submitted. Refresh. I should have drank soda. Okay. There we go. Now it says pending. So now as an admin, I should be able to see your payment request that you sent. Okay, there we go. All right. So I'm going to open this payment request and review it. And let's say I see an issue. So I'm going to put in my instruction comment box, requested amount not 50% of total expenses. Please fix, something like that. And then here is where I approve or decline it, so you'll get notified if I did approve it. But I'm going to add this, and then I'm going to click return to applicant, and I'm going to send it back to you because I need you to make a change. Then on your view, if you got that, I wish it was faster. Okay. So now it will show not submitted again. So it was sent back to me. It should notify you as an email if you are the invoice's contact. And I'll show you again how to check common mistakes on, if you're not getting the information, or if you can't access the invoices, I'll show you how to check that. So I get it back, and usually we will email you too. And I'll say like, hey, Lydia, I just sent back your invoice. Please go look at it. Just in case you don't see the Zoom grants email or in case something went wrong. I know I have a lot of Zoom grants emails go to trash because I get way too many alerts. Every time someone does something, it sends me an email. So, yeah, so that's it. And then let's say I want to delete this one and I'm done with it. So I'm just going to delete it. I can send it back after I update it, or I can delete it. You can also delete them here. So there are different ways you can delete. Okay, so let's talk about access. So if I am trying to do a reimbursement and I'm not seeing anything, you might not have access. So what you want to do, oh, it's not going to show me that, is it? Okay, I'll go to my admin view. Your application contact will be able to see this box, collaborators, and it might not show on your view, but your application contact can see it. So for Turn, this is Phil. Phil can see all of this. He can add and remove collaborators, and he can also change their editing access and send them an email invite if they haven't logged in. So I'm the admin, so I've added myself as a collaborator, so I can see that I have access to the application, the quarterly report, the invoice reimbursements, and the contracts. So if you're not seeing invoices or you're not able to create an invoice, you need to ask your application contact to give you that reimbursement access. So they just click that box and then that changes your access. And then if you put your name on that invoice when you submitted it, anything related to that invoice, I deleted it, but it should send you an email, or it also lets us know we can reach out to you because you're the one that submitted it. So we know who to contact if we see an issue with the invoice. Okay.
Oh, good.
Yes.
John had his hand up for a minute. I don't know if he still has a question.
Thank you.
You just answered it. I need to be on the reimbursements because there's one of them that I can't add invoices to, and that's what I need to do.
Okay,
Have that reimbursement checked.
Perfect. Yeah, and only your application contact person can do that. I can't. I only have the power to add and remove myself as a collaborator, but I can't change your access. Only your application contact can do that. And then if your application contact has left your agency, you have to notify zoomgrants so that they can change it. And that can just be an email to them saying, hey, this person left and we need to change it to this person, but you have to CC me on that email because I have to send approval, basically. So you can call them or you can email them, but they have to get my approval before they make that change. Okay, so we did that. We talked about the line items. We talked about some of these terms, but a PO number, that just tells us in our accounting system, it's your purchase order number that is associated with your grant award. And it's the same as your contract number. And then the FAIN, again, that's the federal award. What did I say? Federal award identification number. And that's your grant number, which you need to know for things like tracking your assets and stuff like that. So that's a very important number. Account number, you really don't have to worry about it. That's on our side. The federal fiscal year, you do need to know what you're billing for, which year, which grant you're billing for. Invoice number, we showed you where that is, so we'll talk more about that. Local match, that's the portion you pay. Execution, that's the date you signed your agreement. Oh, that was the other thing I forgot to show you. So let's go look at documents really quick. So I'm in as a person, as what you see in your application. Here's your documents tab. So if I go down to administrative documents, I can see my grant agreement and I can click it, open it. Excuse me. And I can see my total award, my dates, my grant numbers, all of that. And if I go to the budget, I can even compare it and make sure that my budget is correct by comparing it to my project budget. So I can see, okay, in Salt Lake City 2023, I got 10,500 in operating. So Salt Lake 2023 operating 10,500 is the federal. It's kind of backwards here, but the federal is there. So you can double check and make sure you don't see any issues with what you were awarded and what is in zoomgrants to actually be paid out. If you do see an issue, let us know and we will fix it. And then let's go back to documents for a second. And I've uploaded now the new cover sheet. I had to put it in as a document, like an application document, but it's not a required document, so it shouldn't cause any issues. But if you click here, you can download the template. And let me go back to my PowerPoint and make sure if we're at that part. Let's see. Oh, okay, one sec.
So is this uploaded for everybody or just this? Oh, there, I found it. Thanks.
Yep, it should be there on all the applications in 23-24. But if anyone needs, I can email it too, and it will be on the website, but that takes a bit to get it uploaded. Types of invoices you might submit: operating, preventive maintenance, capital items that you procured yourself, or vehicles. Lydia asked if we'd like you to start using it. Yes, I don't have any issues with Turn's current cover sheets, but you could look at it, and if you want to, if you think it'd be easy, if anyone is like, oh, this is going to be harder for me, I like my cover sheet, reach out to us. I will look at your cover sheet and see if it has what I need. Because really we're just having issues with some agencies. Their cover sheet doesn't have enough information. So I think it will help with that. So we'll look at it together and you can see if maybe eventually we'll make it required, but I just want to start out testing it and see if it's actually helpful. You might be submitting vehicle invoices, mobility management. I couldn't think of any others, so I think this pretty much covers it. Here's the cover sheet example. I'll show you the full one, but it will have a blank template page and then an example page that I've filled out in red so that you can see how to fill it out. And then it will also have a page of common questions and answers. So let's look at it together. I'll enable editing. Okay. So this is the template. So you'll put your invoice number, the date you are submitting the invoice, the billing dates, your agency, your name, and your contract number. And then here, to make it clearer, if you're billing multiple UZAs or multiple items, you can delete this if you're not. You could just do one table if you're doing one grant. But see down here as an example, this one is UT 2016. I made up the number, but it's 2024 Salt Lake. And then this one, oh, that doesn't work, huh? We'll pretend it's 2023 Salt Lake. So this one I'm requesting operating, and this one I'm requesting preventive maintenance. Oh, I guess it could be anyway. And then here in the expense description, I'm putting what in that line item I'm requesting. So I'm trying to use the same terms that zoomgrants uses. So if you look at zoomgrants, budget, here we go. Or should we do reimbursements? Let's do reimbursements. I can see, okay, this is my line item. It's operating. So here for my funding use / line item, which is what, well, they call it expense, but funding use or the line item, that's what I'm going to put here. And then funding source or the grant that it's coming from, I'm going to put there. I guess it doesn't show you, where does it show you funding? I guess it doesn't show you that. So that would just be on your agreement because it's not showing you. Did I close the agreement? I did. Oh, nope, here it is. Okay, so on your agreement, you can see the grant number for 23 Salt Lake operating is UT 2025-003. So that's what I would put there. And I added that to funding allocations, but I guess you can't see that. Can you? I'll look at it later and see if there's a way you can view it as an invoice submitter. Otherwise, it'll just be on your budget. And what else? Okay, so we've got a subtotal. So let's say I'm requesting driver wages and fuel. I want it charged to that grant to come out of that line item. And I'm going to put my total expenses, local match, and federal request, the subtotal of those columns, and then what my contract budget is how much I was awarded for that item. Remember, so if we look here, contract budget, that's how much I was awarded for that line item. But we've edited this so the federal amount should match your contract budget to make it easier. And that's just in the 23-24 grant. We've edited all of them to match what's in your agreement. So that should make it easier to know what your contract budget is. And then your remaining balance. How do I get back to, did I close that? Sorry, I have so many windows open now. Getting confused. Come on. Oh, zoomgrants. So I'm just scrolling. Here we go. Okay, so when I'm in my reimbursements tab, it's so slow. Okay, come on. If you go down to funding uses expenses where your line items are, This column here, remaining balance, will show you what you have remaining. And it's only going to add invoices approved and invoices paid. So if you put a requested one, it will show a balance here. So right now I can see, oh, I submitted 15,000 in invoices, but it's not approved yet. So right now it's still saying I have that remaining, but once that gets approved, it will move here and then the remaining balance will update. So line item remaining balance, I'm going to put what's in this column and then, oh, sorry, here, and then remaining balance adjusted after this invoice is requested. So after this is paid, how much is remaining on that line? That's going to be 0. Okay, so I'm going to spend it all, basically, is what I'm saying. So I'm requesting 12,000. I had 12,000 remaining. So after I submit this invoice, there's none left. And then I think this will be
Alaka?
important. Yes.
Where do I find the application form that I'm looking at on the left of the screen? Just programs application form? Yep,
no. Oh, so that it depends. Yours is going to be a little different. It's going to look like this when you're in it, but it's not called application form. You'll see it on your dashboard. It'll be this grant, 2023, 2024 grant, and then whatever you named it. So
which button do I push to see it?
It should be here on your dashboard. So you'll have
Okay.
all programs or current programs, and it should show there. And you can favorite it if you want it to show up here. Yours might look a little different, but it should be on your dashboard.
Right now. Right. So I'm opening the grant, and then where do I go to see that page? It shows me the balances.
You click the reimbursements tab.
Okay, that's what I was trying to get to.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm mixed up. Yeah, reimbursements tab, and then you scroll down to funding uses expenses. So that's underneath your invoices.
Got it.
Down here at the bottom, and that will show you your remaining balance. And then
yep, I found it. Thank you.
Okay. So that's your contract budget, which is your awarded budget, and then your invoices. Okay. And then it doesn't show you funding sources. So yeah, I guess you'll have to look. I'll try to come up with an easier way I can show you what grants, because it doesn't let you put a funding source. Yeah, you'll just have to look at the federal fiscal year and know, okay, that's the grant I want it to come out of, and then put the grant number on your cover sheet. But I think this cover sheet will help you keep track of how much you're spending, because we have sometimes people overbill or underbill and they think that they spent it all, but they didn't. So I think that having you track this on your cover sheet should help you to know how much you have remaining and help you keep track of your grant. And then at the bottom, you'll put the totals. So if you're doing multiple grants requests in one request, you can put the totals down here. And then here I also added revenue deductions if applicable. So if you charge fares or if you're getting reimbursed for something else so that you can't request more reimbursement on, you can subtract that here, and then you'll have your total billable for this invoice. And that will be your federal amount that you're asking in return. So in my example, I have 12,970 is my total expenses. 50% of that is 6,298. Oh, wait. No, that's my local match. Sorry. Did I do? Oh, yeah, because I did. So this one's a little complicated. So I did operating and preventive maintenance. So those are different percentages. So operating's 50. This one's 80. So then it's going to have a different subtotal and a different match ratio. So then down here, I calculate it, add it together. So I can bill for 6,672, but I charged $600 in transportation fees. So I already got paid $600 for charging fares for those trips. So I'm going to remove that from my request and that's my total billable amount that I'm asking for. And then down here, I also added a page of just common questions, tips, terminology. Where do I find this number? Where can I find the line item? What is my contract budget? And all that. So hopefully that's helpful. If there are more questions, we can always add them. So that's the new cover sheet. Oh yeah, the amount requested should be a total number. You'll see if you request change, we just round it off when we pay you anyway. So if you don't have to include change if you don't want to, because the FTA is not going to reimburse change anyway. So if your total that you're requesting is $12,345.05, you can leave that off if you want in your request. Okay. How are we doing on time? Okay, we're halfway.
Standard
So I
rounding
won't.
procedures.
Sorry, say that again.
Standard rounding procedures.
Routing procedures?
Rounding.
Oh, rounding. Yes. Sorry.
So if it's
Yes.
51 cents, I get a round up.
It depends. So the FTA won't pay more than the 50% or the 80%. So if rounding up makes that higher, so I usually put the change is your local match, if that makes sense. So yeah, FTA won't pay more than half, if that makes sense. So if it's like, I'm trying to think of an example off the top of my head, but
Oh, I get it. So standard IRS rounding procedures up until you've met your match, and then you can't go above that. Easy peasy.
Yeah.
My purpose is to make your life as easy as possible by sending in the right stuff at the right time.
Thank you, John. So we won't talk too much about operating expenses, but if you need to check allowable costs, you can find that. I also put on that tips and tricks page where to find the 2 CFR, what subpart that is to find what is allowable. So you can go look at that. And then if you're requesting operating, so we have the backup documentation guide, but basically you need to have pay stubs, time and effort to show if you're charging wages, what they did, fuel receipts, invoices. If you do third-party rides, I don't think we have too many people doing that anymore, but if you're charging third-party rides like Uber or Lyft, there are specific things you have to turn in, like a starting and ending destination, how much the tip was, all of that, and the trip purpose. Wages. So these are some examples that I pulled and I blacked out, hopefully, the important stuff. But this is a good example of billing wages. The only thing I noticed is this sheet, they don't have the activity or job title. They put that on a different page. But if you're billing for driver wages or mobility management or something, I would add a column saying either what their title is or a short description of what they do, like driver or, answered the phone for trip referrals. I don't know, something that tells us what they were doing for the project, and then what their pay rate is and how many hours they worked towards the project. And then I think cut out, but you can also have like a column for like your project code or, if you have different grants, how you separated them by project. If their salary, I guess if they're salary full-time, you can just put that. If they're hourly and they have different hours to different projects, send us how you track that and show like this was this project, basically. So that's time and effort. So not just time, but effort as well. Were they driving? What were they doing, basically? And then to support this spreadsheet, they have uploaded their pay stubs, which prove that that employee was paid for that work, because we can't pay it unless you've already paid, because we're reimbursing you for paying that employee, if that makes sense. And then we can even compare the employee number here matches the employee number on the pay stub, and the name matches and the rate matches and all of that information. There are other ways to show this information, but this is just one example. You can always ask us, or we'll let you know if it's not enough information. Preventive maintenance is another one. It's a little different. So this person first gave us a list of all the transactions, which is great because then we can go compare and look at those receipts, and it makes it easier for us to tell what receipt goes to what charge. So we're not just looking at receipts and trying to figure out what they were for. So here they put, oh, van number 3 had some work done at AutoZone and it cost, well, see that. So I might have taken these from different screenshots because the amount doesn't match. But basically, we'd look at the amount and then match it to the receipt. And then they also uploaded a bank statement showing that charge in their bank to prove that they paid it. Even though just the receipt would be sufficient, I believe, but the more the better to show, yes, we paid this receipt. Because what could happen is people could be uploading receipts from their personal expenses, right? But this shows me, hey, no, this was paid through our work account. So here's proof of that, basically. And then the only other thing is tax. You are all tax exempt. So you need to remove taxes when you send us reimbursement because FTA is not going to reimburse taxes. If it's something small like this, we're probably not going to send it back to you and say, hey, remove this $1. But if it accumulates to over $100, we will definitely reject it and send it back to you to have you remove the sales tax. So if it's a big item, like here they got a battery replacement for $236, if they paid taxes on that, we're not going to reimburse that. So you need to remove the taxes. So let me go back really quick. So that's another thing. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
If the taxes are already removed, would you still suggest the column? Because we remove all taxes before the reports are pulled because we're nonprofit,
Okay.
obviously.
You could put a note, maybe just saying all taxes removed, or I was going to show you down here in revenue reduction or revenue deductions, you could put removed 600 for sales tax or something from your expenses. Because the only problem is if we're looking at all your expenses and we add them up and it doesn't match what you have as your expenses, that might be confusing. But if you just show somewhere, oh no, we removed it, then that makes sense to us.
Okay, I can do that. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Okay, let me go back. Sorry. Okay, and then vehicle invoices. After you get a new vehicle, you need to go into zoomgrants and upload a vehicle invoice. You need to attach your vendor invoice and local match invoice that was sent to you in your email. Usually that comes from Eric. What's his last name? Eric something. Hawker. Eric Hawker at UTA sends those out. If you can't find them and you need another copy, let us know and we can search our email for it because he always CCs us on those emails. And then the requested amount that you're going to put in for the vehicle is always what the FTA is paying. So the federal portion that they're paying. And then we will go in and mark it as paid. So let me show you just a quick example of that. Well, they don't have a vehicle here. Where's my other box? First passes vehicle. Oh, this is a new grant. They're not going to have vehicles yet. Sorry. Anyway, we'll skip that. You submit a vehicle invoice. We mark it as paid so that down in your remaining and your budget, it will show that you got that vehicle. And then it also helps us if the vehicle came in under or over, it will show us that so that we can adjust the grant to take into consideration if the vehicle was under or over what you were awarded. So it is important that you put those invoices in to Zoom grants to help us when we close the grant, to look at all the numbers and fix everything. Okay, invoice numbers. They shouldn't be more than 10 characters. If it doesn't work, we might change it. And when you go in there, it does have a little thing. If you hover over it, tells you, or it has instructions somewhere. I thought it did. Ugh, maybe not. In the backup documentation, it does tell you how to do an invoice, but we're not super strict as long as it's 10 characters. So here's some examples. So I would do, this is the name of my agency, and I'm invoicing for preventive maintenance, and these were my billing dates. So I'm going to do UTA April 30th, 25, because that's what I'm billing to, and then PM for preventive maintenance, or 4:30:25 p.m. or April 25 p.m. However you want to do it is fine, as long as it's 10 characters. And then if it doesn't work or our system rejects it because it matches another invoice number or something like that, we might change it. All of these are acceptable. And yeah, we cannot process invoices with the same number. Also, so if you split one between two grants, you have to change the name. So for example, let's say I have $10 remaining on my grant on operations, and then I have a new grant with like 5,000 in operations, but I have all these expenses for the month of May, and they are, hundreds of dollars. So I'm going to submit it to the first grant and request $10, but then I also need to submit that same invoice and in my other grant to request the remaining. So just make sure that that invoice number is different, because our system will reject it if it's the same invoice number. We can't process it. Check remaining balance, where I showed you in the line items in the reimbursements tab. Always check there, make sure your remaining amounts are correct, put it on your cover sheet. Don't overbill. It just helps us not to make mistakes if you can catch it first and not overcharge. That helps us avoid accidentally overpaying, which shouldn't happen, but mistakes happen. If you are spending all from one grant and you want to split the invoice, like I said, you can just change the cover sheet, use the same backup documentation, and then use a different invoice name. And remember, your requested amount is always the federal amount that you're requesting a check for or payment for. Okay, multiple UZAs. I showed you on the cover sheet, you can split them out. You can put requests for more than one UZA in one invoice if you want, but make sure it's very clear which grant and line items you're requesting from, and organize your backup documents separate or somehow that we can tell which documents go with which request or which UZA. If it's too complicated, if it's getting too messy, just submit them as separate invoices. That's fine. But if you can combine them, the less invoices you have means we can process them faster. We can get payment to you faster. If you have large spreadsheets, not all of you do, but some services have things like a spreadsheet that tracks every single trip, where they went, where they ended, what the trip purpose was, or like Utah's Promise has calls. They track thousands of calls and who answered the call, where it was transferred to. So if you have stuff like that and they're huge spreadsheets and you can't just like make them a PDF and attach them nicely as backup documentation, you can attach it separately, but we won't include it when we send it to our accounts payable. We'll just save it in a file in case of an audit, basically. So we'll save that for 3 or more years, depending on when the grant is closed. And then after 3 years, after grant closeout or after useful life ending. If it's related to an asset, we will dispose of that. So I just wanted you to know that. It's also saved in your Zoom grants if you upload it like that. Zoom grants. We showed you how to create an invoice, upload a document, submit. We looked at the status and how to read that. And if it's not submitted, that means it was sent back to you and you can edit it. You can see if it's pending, approved, paid, rejected. Oh, that was another thing. If an invoice is rejected, you cannot edit it, I don't think. Let's see. So these ones say approved, not submitted, pending. They don't have any rejected, but if one's rejected, you just have to start over. So if it's like, no, you have to start all over, we'll just reject it. If we just need you to change like one thing, we will just send it back to you. And then it will show as not submitted. And then you can go in and edit it or delete it and start over. We talked about housekeeping, keeping your invoices clean so it doesn't mess up the calculations down below, and reading an invoice. Okay. Direct deposit is available. In this newest grant application cycle, we put it in the documents for your application, so you could have filled it out there. But if you just didn't know about that, you can fill out the ACH form to request direct deposit. Per your grant agreement, we have 30 days to pay a request. Usually we're quicker than that unless we've gotten way too many at once and we're falling behind. But usually we're quicker than that. And we actually track how long we're taking to pay to try to improve. If you have not been paid after 30 days, please reach out to us because sometimes maybe that means it was stuck somewhere in the approval process or someone approved it but never sent it to accounting. Maybe there's an issue there. So if it's been more than 30 days, please email us and let us know so we can look into that invoice and find out what's going on with it. If it's been under 30 days, just wait. It might be coming. Okay, any questions?
Just to clarify on the cover sheet, so we use the new one that's going to be sent out, or let you know if the one that we're currently using is workable?
Yes, I would look at it and see if yours already has all that information, then you don't need to use the template. But if it doesn't, then I would use the template. And the template is in Zoom grants. So I'll show you one more time where to find that. So you go to documents and scroll down to the bottom and it will say backup cover sheet template for invoicing and you can download it there by clicking it.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yep. Oops. Okay. And then it will look like this. So we'll have a blank one you can edit, an example page, and then common questions, answers, tips, things like that.
Okay, and then is there a specific, can you submit monthly or do you guys only allow it to be submitted quarterly?
You can submit monthly or quarter or based on quarter, but again, the more invoices you're submitting, the longer it might take to process. So if you send us 12 invoices at once, it's going to take us a while to get through all those. So if you can combine them by quarterly, it just becomes less invoices. Typically, the only agencies that do monthly billing is because they just have huge amounts of data that they need to include. And so it just gets messy if they try to do it quarterly. But Zoom grants will typically allow you to upload quite a bit, like quite a large document. The limit is very high. So I think you should be fine to do quarterly. So that would be like 4 invoices for a grant year if you did quarterly, but if you're doing monthly, that's 12. So it can just take longer.
I do have them separated by quarter. We just have quite a few that need to be submitted, so I was just curious.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions? Do you guys like this cover sheet? Maybe I should get your feedback on it. We can always change it. We'll try it for a while and see if it works. If you do run into any issues where you're like, oh, I wish it had this, or I think that doesn't work, let me know and we can play around and come up with maybe some better ideas. But I think for now, this is pretty clean. It gives us the information that we need. And I think it will help you in better tracking your expenses.
I personally find it really helpful because in the past we were just all willy-nilly doing our own little thing and not knowing if we had like the right information or not that you needed. So I think that this is super helpful,
Okay,
and it keeps everybody on the same page, definitely.
awesome. Thank you. Okay. If there aren't questions about invoicing, then we can end this. If you have any other questions, here's, whoops, my email. You can email me. And then at the next LCCs, which is at the end of this month, just a reminder, we will have our new compliance officer come so you guys can meet her. It is April 23rd and April 24th are our next LCC meetings. Okay. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.